There's no room for you on this trip, Jade. Figure it out yourself. My father's words echoed through the international terminal as he walked toward the gate with his new wife and her 3 kids, leaving me standing alone with my useless ticket. At 15, I learned that abandonment comes with a boarding pass, but what happened when I called the mother he said was dead changed everything. Hi everyone, my name is Jade. I'm 24 now. But this story starts when I was 15, standing in LaGuardia Airport, watching my father choose his new family over his old one. The vacation had been planned for months. Turks and Caicos, 7 days at an all-inclusive resort. Dad had promised it would be our chance to bond, to bridge the gap that had grown since the divorce. I packed carefully, saved my babysitting money for new swimsuits, told all my friends about the trip. What he hadn't mentioned was that Brittany, his wife of 6 months, would be coming. Or that her 3 kids, Tyler, Madison, and little Emma, would fill every seat he'd booked. There must be a mistake, I said, checking my boarding pass against the gate agent's screen. I have a ticket. I have a seat. 14B. The agent's smile was sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, sweetie. That seat's been reassigned. The reservation was changed this morning. I turned to find my father already at the gate, Brittany's manicured hand on his arm. Her children clustered around them like a Christmas card photo I wasn't meant to be in. Dad. I called out, my voice cracking. Dad, there's something wrong with my seat. He walked back slowly, like approaching a problem he'd hoped would solve itself. Listen, Jade. Tyler needs to sit with us. He's got anxiety about flying. The airline made a mistake with the booking. So get another seat. I'll sit in the back, I don't care. There are no more seats. His tone was flat, final. Look, you're smart. You can figure this out. Take an Uber home. We'll do something when I get back. You're leaving me at the airport? My voice rose, drawing stares from other travelers. I'm 15. Brittany appeared beside him, pressing a tissue to her nose. Robert, we need to board. Emma's getting fussy. He pulled out his wallet, extracted $200, and pressed it into my hand. This should cover the Uber and some food. Maybe stay with that friend of yours. What's her name? Keisha. Kendra, I whispered. Her name is Kendra. Right. Look, this isn't ideal, but sometimes we have to be flexible. He was already backing away. We'll talk when I get back. Be mature about this. Mature. The word hit like ice water. I watched them board. Brittany herding her kids, my father carrying Emma's diaper bag, the family unit complete without me. Tyler, the boy who'd taken my seat, turned back once and smirked. The gate agent touched my shoulder gently. Honey, is there someone you can call? I nodded, pulling out my phone with shaking hands. But I wasn't calling Kendra. I was calling a number I'd found hidden in my father's office 6 months ago, written on the back of a business card he'd tucked behind his passport. The number for my mother. The one he'd told me died when I was 3. It rang 4 times before a voice answered, professional, clipped, alive. Evelyn Chambers. Mom. The word felt foreign on my tongue. It's Jade. The silence stretched so long, I thought she'd hung up. Then, quietly, Jade. My God. Where are you? LaGuardia. Terminal B. Dad left me here. He said you were dead. Another silence, but this one vibrated with something dangerous. I'll be there in 3 hours, she said. Don't move. Don't call him. And Jade? Pack light for warm weather. We're about to have the vacation you deserve. I sat in the airport cafe, spending Dad's guilt money on overpriced hot chocolate and a sandwich I couldn't eat. 3 hours felt like 3 years. I watched families board planes together, watched fathers hold their daughters' hands, watched mothers fuss over their children's carry-ons. When she walked in, I knew her immediately, not from memory. I'd been too young, but from the way she moved, like she owned the air around her. Evelyn Chambers wore a white pantsuit that probably cost more than our mortgage, her dark hair swept into a chignon that defied airport humidity. But it was her eyes that stopped me cold. My eyes, looking back at me with 12 years of banked fury. "My baby," she said, and her voice broke on the words. "My beautiful girl." I stood frozen as she crossed the space between us, her heels clicking on the terrazzo floor like a countdown. She stopped just short of touching me, her hands hovering like she was afraid I'd disappear. "He told me you were dead," I whispered. "I know." Her jaw tightened. "We have a lot to discuss. But first, do you like private jets? Because mine's waiting on the tarmac, and I think Turks and Caicos is lovely this time of year." "You want to take me to the same resort, yes. The presidential suite. I own the property." Her smile was sharp as glass. "Your father doesn't know that, of course. He booked the standard package. We'll be neighbors." That's when I understood. This wasn't just a rescue. This was war. The private jet was like stepping into another universe. Cream leather seats, crystal decanters, a bedroom in the back. As we lifted off, Mom poured herself wine and me sparkling cider, then settled across from me with the look of someone preparing for battle. "I never died, Jade. I left when you were 3, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But your father—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "He was very good at making me look unstable. Very good at documenting my episodes. By the time I realized what he was doing, he'd built a case for full custody. But you could have fought." "I did fight. I spent everything I had on lawyers. But I was 23, Jade. He was 35 with an established career and a talent for manipulation. The court believed him. Supervised visits only, they said, for your safety." She pulled out a leather folder, thick with documents. Every birthday card returned. Every letter marked deceased, returned to sender. Every attempt to see you blocked. "He didn't just take you from me, he erased me." I flipped through the pages, seeing my name written in increasingly desperate handwriting. Birthday cards for ages 4, 5, 6. Letters asking about first days of school, lost teeth, favorite colors. All of them stamped with brutal efficiency. No such person. "So what changed?" I asked. "Why could I suddenly find your number?" Her smile was winter cold. "I changed. 12 years of rage is excellent motivation. I built a company, sold it, built another. I bought judges' vacation homes, legally, of course. I became someone who couldn't be erased, and I waited for you to be old enough to find me." The business card in his office. I had my assistant drop it during a meeting. I knew he'd keep it. He keeps everything that might be valuable later. I just had to wait for you to be curious enough to look. And if I hadn't called, then I would have waited until you were 18. But something told me Robert would eventually show his true colors. Narcissists always do. We landed in Turks and Caicos as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of justice. The resort sprawled before us, all white sand and infinity pools. Mom's suite was on the top floor, glass walls offering a view of the entire property, including the standard rooms where my father was probably unpacking with his preferred family. "There's something you should know," Mom said as we settled in. "The custody arrangement is still technically in effect. He has full legal custody until you're 18. But," she poured herself champagne, "abandoning a minor in an airport is frowned upon. As is lying about a parent's death. As is emotional abuse documented by security cameras." She opened her laptop, showing me an email thread with timestamps from 3 hours ago. "My lawyer is already filing emergency custody papers. Airport security footage of him leaving you. The amended flight records showing he removed you from the booking. Your ticket stub proving you were supposed to be on that trip. He'll fight back." "With what money?" Her smile widened. "Your father's very leveraged, Jade. The house, the cars, this vacation, all on credit. Brittany doesn't know, of course. She thinks she married successful. But I know every debt, every late payment, every financial corner he's cut. including the fact that your child support payments have been going into an account that's supposed to be for your college, but is mysteriously empty. He stole my college fund. Among other things. But don't worry, I've been making parallel deposits into a trust in your name. You're actually quite wealthy, darling. You just didn't know it. The next morning, I woke to sunshine and the sound of my phone exploding with messages. Dad had discovered I wasn't at Kendra's. His texts evolved from annoyed to angry to panicked. Where are you? This isn't funny, Jade. Answer your phone now. I'm calling the police if you don't respond. I showed them to Mom over breakfast on our private balcony. She sipped her coffee and smiled. Let him panic. The police will be very interested to know why he's reporting you missing when he left you at an airport. When do I tell him where I am? You don't. My lawyer will. She checked her watch. In about an hour, he'll be served with papers. Emergency custody petition, child abandonment charges, and a forensic accounting of your missing college fund. All delivered to his room here, in front of his new family. That's cruel. No, she said quietly. Cruel is telling a 3-year-old her mother is dead. Cruel is leaving a 15-year-old alone in an airport. This is consequences. We spent the morning by the pool, the private one attached to our suite. I tried to relax, but my nerves were shot. Then, at exactly 11 a.m., we heard it, shouting from several floors below. Mom handed me binoculars. 4th floor, 3rd balcony from the left. I felt like a spy, but I looked. There was Dad on his balcony, papers in hand, face purple with rage. Brittany stood behind him, her mouth open in shock. Through the glass doors, I could see Tyler, Madison, and Emma watching cartoons, oblivious to the bomb that had just detonated their vacation. My phone rang. Dad. Answer it, Mom said. On speaker. Where are you? His voice was volcanic. Turks and Caicos, I said calmly. You said to figure it out. I did. You're here? With her? He knew. Of course he knew. That woman is poison, Jade. She's manipulative. She's alive. I cut in. Yeah, I noticed that part. Funny how dead people can afford presidential suites. Get down here right now. We're going home. No. I am your father. Who abandoned me in an airport? Mom's lawyer says that's a felony, by the way. Said the security footage is really clear. The silence stretched, then Brittany's voice, shrill in the background. Robert, what is she talking about? What custody papers? What stolen college fund? I have to go, Dad said quickly. Actually, you don't. Mom called out, loud enough for him to hear. The island's not that big. Nowhere to run. He hung up. We watched from our balcony as the drama unfolded. Brittany stormed out 20 minutes later, dragging her kids toward the lobby. Dad followed, still clutching the legal papers, trying to explain. The other guests pretended not to stare as the perfect family imploded in paradise. I feel bad for the kids, I said. Tyler, Madison, and Emma. They didn't ask for this. Neither did you. Mom reminded me. But you're right. They're innocent. Which is why I've arranged for them to have a wonderful vacation in the kids' club with professional childcare, while their mother figures out who she married. That afternoon, while Dad dealt with lawyers and Brittany dealt with reality, Mom and I finally talked. Really talked. About the years stolen, the lies told, the daughter she'd never stopped fighting for even when the system failed her. I used to dream about you, she said. Every night for the first year. Then every week. Then every birthday. I'd imagine what you looked like, what you loved, who you were becoming. And now. Now I see you're stronger than I ever imagined. You called me Jade. After 12 years of thinking I was dead, you found that number and called. That takes courage I didn't have at your age. Or desperation. Sometimes they're the same thing. That evening, we watched the sunset from our balcony. Below, the resort continued its lazy rhythm. Couples strolling the beach, Kids building sandcastles, families having the vacations they dreamed of. "He's leaving tomorrow," Mom said, checking her phone. "His credit card was declined for the rest of the stay. Brittany's already taken the kids back to their room. Apparently, she's filing for annulment." That was fast. Gold diggers usually are when the gold runs out. I should have felt guilty. Should have felt something for the man who'd raised me, even badly. But all I felt was free. The legal battles took months. Dad fought everything. The custody change, the abandonment charges, the financial investigation. But it's hard to argue with security footage, credit card records, and a paper trail of lies. Mom's lawyers were sharks who smelled blood. They found everything, not just my stolen college fund, but years of tax fraud, hidden debts, and a secret gambling problem that explained where my child support actually went. In the end, I got to choose. The judge, a stern woman who looked like she'd seen everything, asked me directly, "Where do you want to live, Jade?" "With my mom," I said, looking at the woman who'd spent 12 years becoming someone impossible to erase. "With the parent who fought for me instead of against me." Dad's face crumpled. For a moment, just a moment, he looked like he understood what he'd lost. Then his lawyer whispered something, and his expression hardened again. "She's poisoned you against me," he said. "No," I replied. "You did that yourself." At Turnalby. Now, at 24, I sometimes think about that day at the airport. How different my life would have been if Tyler hadn't needed my seat, if Dad had chosen me instead of convenience, if I'd never found that hidden business card. But mostly, I think about the moment my mother walked into that terminal, power and fury wrapped in white linen, ready to go to war for a daughter she'd never stopped loving. Dad remarried eventually. Another woman with kids who needed a father figure. I heard from Kendra, who heard from someone else, that he tells people I chose money over family, that my mother bought me. But the truth is simpler. I chose the parent who chose me. Mom and I aren't perfect. 12 years is a long time to lose, and we're still learning each other. But we're learning together, building something real on the ashes of his lies. And sometimes, when I fly through LaGuardia, I stop at that cafe in Terminal B. I buy an overpriced hot chocolate and sit in the same spot where my life split in two, where a 15-year-old girl watched her father board a plane without her and learned that family isn't about blood or obligation or proximity. It's about who shows up when you're abandoned at the airport. It's about who answers when you call. It's about who fights for you when the world says you're not worth the effort. My name is Jade Chambers. I took my mother's name the day I turned 18. My father left me at an airport when I was 15, told me to figure it out. So I did. And I've been figuring it out ever since, one flight at a time. With the mother who refused to stay dead and the future he never thought I deserved. Turns out, the best journeys begin with missed flights and found mothers. Who knew abandonment could be a boarding pass to something better?